Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be discussing the newest makeup announcements and releases. Welcome back to another video, and today is time for my weekly makeup news video. So today we are going to be covering the newest makeup announcements and about this week's or like the past week's announcements. I'd say that probably the most exciting thing that I'm going to be covering maybe at the end of the video is the Monolith Shop launch happening. So I will be discussing more about like how I'm feeling about the launch at the end, but that is going to be happening soon. So that maybe is the most like exciting thing. And aside from that, I think during this week like there were maybe like we have one or two holiday launches, and then there were some indie launches, but it's much of a, I would say, shorter video than the last one, because obviously for the last one I had collected quite a lot of things to talk about due to the fact that there was a break in my filming schedule. The next video of this week is going to be the video you're going to be seeing on Sunday, so that is going to be my May and June's makeup haul. It feels like quite a while, especially from May, because I've been now back to work for a few weeks, so I had a very long summer holiday, but it's been now 2 weeks and I've been now back to work. So especially the beginning of the summer is starting to feel like quite far away. But that a little bit about this week's filming schedule and what is going to be covered in this video, and let's now start talking about the newest makeup announcements. Alright then, so the first one, and this was a very big one, so Kiko did launch a new collection. This is already available on their website and on there if you have Kiko Milano stores in your country. So this is the Matte Diaries collection, and I do have to say like Kiko, this is one of the collection that, especially the packaging, I think is very appealing. On a more like general note, a full-on matte collection. These days, especially to a person who has a combo dry skin and also a person who isn't a fan of all matte eyeshadow looks, not all of these products are particularly of interest to me when you look what is inside. But I do have to say, like for example, some of the lip products could be something that I'm into. In terms of like the powder, blushes and bronzers that are included in this collection, the packaging looks very nice, but I don't think as such when I'm looking at the colors, especially these aren't very unique colors when you think about other limited edition or just like Kiko's general collection. But like I do have to say that if you are, for example, into your matte makeup and you are very, for example, drawn to this for the packaging, this could be something nice to look into. But for me, it's a like skip. There isn't like, when I'm looking at the products inside, a lot of things that I'm that interested in. Then some indie, so Adept has revealed Back to the 80s palette. I do have to give them credit, this is a bit different because I do think the couple of previous palettes that Adept has been launching, I do think I have been discussing with those ones that we were seeing kind of a little bit too much of like similar tones of colors and a lot of the palettes, because a lot of the palettes did have a lot also the special shades, they were kind of starting to look like one another, and Adept's these big palettes aren't cheap per se, so that was also something why I was thinking that we like, okay, that if you are gonna keep releasing these very big expensive palettes, could we at least have a little bit different in the color story. This I think is genuinely something a bit different. For me it's still not a color story for me because it has these very like deep jewel toned colors in it, so in terms of color story it's not something I like, but something different. And I think if you are into your more like grungier looks, this could actually be a very nice palette to get to. Then from e.l.f. So e.l.f. is collaborating with Bubble Skincare, so there is, I think, like some kind of drop and drunk hydrating moisturizer, and then you have some, I think, the glosses, and I think could the one of those be blushes. A lip serum and blush serum. So yeah, so there you get some lip products and cheek products, and then you get the moisturizer. I'm not familiar with the skincare brand of the collaboration, however this could be a skincare brand that is not available, well it's not at least available at least in my country as far as I know. So this could be a like US brand that is more popular in the States. The packaging is a bit different from what e.l.f. usually does, but as such I don't think there's anything that interesting for me in this particular collaboration. Makeup by Mario is expanding his cream eyeshadows, so we are getting now the Master Matte's Longwear cream eyeshadow, though these don't look to be matte, these look to be more shiny. So why are these still called matte? Like I do get it because the original cream eyeshadows he brought, those were like exclusively matte shades, but now we are getting some shimmers. I'm not usually a person who is very much into this kind of one and done cream eyeshadow shades. I very much do like my palettes and maybe some like individual like powder shadows, but These kind of cream shadows are not usually something that I have been buying into, and I do have to say again, looking at the color story of these metallic shades, just like with, I think I did make the comment when the matte shades were released that the shades were very safe neutrally, though I do think this very much describes what typical Makeup by Mario customer is buying, but for me it's a very meh kind of collection. But if you did like the original matte cream eyeshadows from this collection, then now you do have some metallics also. Okay, and then from YSL, I'm not too surprised we got this one. So they are expanding their very popular powder blushes now into cream ones, so especially I think this packaging, I will have to say this particular faux leather-esque packaging that YSL has been doing now with their makeup products, I do think this is one of the like the most appealing luxury high-end packaging that is currently out in the market, especially for a more mainstream brand. But I'm not surprised because the powder blushes have been popular. Cream blush has been the thing now for quite many years, so it was quite understandable they would expand the line. I did try the powder blush formula last year. I did manage to get my hands on one of the big blush palettes that was pretty popular. I think it sold out in a lot of places and I even got it at a pretty good discount. And for me, while it was my like first time trying YSL blushes and there were like highlighters also in the £6 face palette, and I was thought that it was a nice formula, but for the high-end price tag, it wasn't a formula that I went like that I must try more of it. And I'm kind of like, even if I haven't obviously tried this cream blush formula, because these are, I don't think these are, at least I haven't seen these yet in our YSL retailers. So for me, these are kind of products that, yeah, I might like to look at these in store, but not necessarily considering my very expansive blush collection, not something that I would be in a rush to get. But if you have been waiting for YSL to bring some cream blushes, particularly in this compact, I think these are going to be available pretty soon. It says the release date is actually August 22nd, at least in some places, so not that far away. Then some of the indie launches. So Ladybug Glow is launching a new palette, and this is the Flora Mist palette. So this is actually the first Ladybug Glow palette where I'm going like that I could be actually interested to get this. I do appreciate that the brand is launching a bit like smaller eyeshadow palettes, because especially to those of us who have huge eyeshadow collections, like I'm very happy if the palette is a bit smaller and has smaller pans, because like it's the likeliness that I would be using the palette up completely, it's like very, very unlikely. But yeah, this is the first kind of like Ladybug Glow color story that I'm going that I would be interested in this one. They have been doing more like grungier color stories, and this is definitely, when you look at it, more muted. I would say it's a very interesting take on a fall-esque color story. I do think Monolith Shop, which we are gonna like, as I said, we're gonna discuss the launch that is happening soon at the end of this video. I do believe they have already listed this on the website, so this is going to be available on the Monolith Shop launch if you're shopping this with the European Union. From Ladybug Glow's own website, you can get this on the 14th of August and also on Gourmand Girls Cosmetics website, so there are a few places you can get it from. But yeah, I like this sort of muted lilac with a pop of yellow kind of vibe we're going with this one. It's a very, very nice color story. And then something very expensive. So, Louis Vuitton Beauty is launching a new collection. I don't have the collection name on the description, but I'm gonna be digging this out because I do know they're this, like obviously, because they have released the full product photos, this collection has a name. I spotted some from somewhere because this was already available to buy, at least in some areas, from Louis Vuitton Beauty's own website, that apparently they have raised prices. So I think the eyeshadow quad, I saw someone looking, it was like closer to $300 and at that point I'm saying that for 4 eyeshadows, like luxury eyeshadow formula like Go by Dior and Chanel, you're basically gonna get the same experience, not the same packaging, because I do believe what Louis Vuitton is like doing different, and what could maybe merit the bit higher price that compared to some other traditional luxury brands would be that, yeah, the packaging is definitely better, but it's not better like for like $300 almost. Like I think it was like 273 was like the one screenshot I saw somewhere of this one. A bit unsure how has the lipsticks also gotten a price hike, but yeah, I'm automatically out with this one purely because I already said that the original Louis Vuitton makeup launch was kind of like that, yeah, it looks kind of nice, but I'm not willing to pay that kind of price, knowing that what kind of product like the eyeshadow and lipstick formula most likely is like. But it's like very fun, nice and fun. I do like the kind of dark theme and the light theme, but it's just not worth the price. But if you are into your very expensive makeup and you are someone who is in the tax bracket that can afford this one, I'm very happy for you, because no doubt this is gonna look very beautiful on your vanity, and it's kind of a flex to pull, for example, pulling one of these lipstick from your purses. But I can't, like, not in this economy, and even if I would have the money, there are like so many other makeup things I would rather put close to 200 to 300 US dollars or the same amount of euros than putting it to this one. But I mean, this looks nice, you can't deny that one. So Makeup Revolution is doing some new powders, so we are now doing 2 colored powders, and this one, new one there is like, it's basically like pink and yellow, and then the more deeper shade is pink and peach. Funny thing about Makeup Revolution's website, they don't ship to most European countries anymore. This was a very random thing. I usually like to check like once a week, like because usually Revolution has the thing that they usually put the things on their website first, and then they later on announce them on social media. But they have basically stopped shipping. I think they only ship now to the European countries that don't have some kind of local retailer to them. So I think if you have been like used to, if you live within Europe and you've been used to buying from Makeup Revolution, you might want to check their website that do they still ship to your country, because this is something also that I had not seen that they would have not announced in their social media. I can kind of get it that it's not always like I would wish that brands would be transparent, that if they stop shipping, because there can be like a multitude of reasons why brands can no longer ship to certain locations, but I think it would be fair if you chop a lot of countries from your shipping list, and you have done a very like extensive international shipping before from your website. It would be nice to have some kind of announcement on social media or an FAQ section that, hey, why we are no longer able to ship, and why you should then look for these local retailers, because it would be just like for honesty and transparency's sake good. And as I said, I can totally understand, considering the world situation right now, shipping prices have been getting quite high recently. I can understand that probably a lot of brands are currently evaluating that what places are worth shipping due to the cost of it and everything. But yeah, so as I said, if you have been able to order from Makeup Revolution's website previously, you might want to recheck that. Do they still ship to your location, or do you get the information that, hey, you have to go to these local retailers that stock our products? But for me, I'm kind of thinking like getting back to the actual product, like for these colored powders, like I do get it. For example, I'm a person that a nice light pink powder can actually do quite nice things to my like complexion, but are we maybe taking this trend a bit too far? Now we're having kind of mixed powders, and I'm, for example, have been like, what I have heard based on some makeup artists like explaining the theory behind the colored powders, that yeah, for someone like me, a very light pink powder could be beneficial, but yellow powder should be something that I shouldn't, like I for example should not use, because it's gonna do something funny with my skin undertone. So for me, I'm kind of saying that, okay, now this might be a bit gimmicky. Like, sure, this is aesthetically really nice to look like having this banana color and pink color like side by side, but I don't necessarily think the functionality this to a makeup user, it's not necessarily that good anymore. Okay, and then the Christmas thing that I said that I will talk about, so if you don't want to hear about Christmas stuff, you can skip this section. So Charlotte Tilbury's advent calendars contents have been revealed. I do have to give a credit now. First of all, I know Charlotte hasn't been the most popular person in makeup community recently, and I totally get it. I think I agree with most people saying that what she said was quite elitist, and even if you would consider like that her main point was, of course, that she you shouldn't do like direct copies of things. I can kind of understand that side of the dupe discussion, that I think it's good when brands make their own variation of a popular product, but that is still like different. So for example, I'm not the biggest fan of for example MCO Beauty, who is perhaps known for this like very on the nose like dupes that are very like straight out, almost copied all the way for the packaging from the original product. So I'm kind of in the dupe discussion of the mind that I do think that people do like it's good that brands do more inexpensive alternatives, but I would like really want that also. Like for example, I do think ELF these days does quite a good job, that they actually like still give their own spin to products. Morphe is a good example. I do think also Makeup Revolution was used to known for the fact that they did this very on the nose dupes, and they did get on trouble for a couple of times, but these days Revolution, they do like try to at least do the packaging a bit different. So, but basically what Charlotte said, that you shouldn't buy at all dupes like that, I think was like considering where the world is currently. Like, I think that was like that, yeah, Charlotte, you were kind of asking for trouble when you made that kind of comment. But regarding this advent calendar, if you are still a person wanting to buy from Charlotte Tilbury, I can understand a lot of people currently maybe aren't. I will give this calendar credit for the fact that a lot of, like, I think previous years the calendars looked a lot like similar to the one on previous, like from the year before. But now I do think that actually this kind of red gold packaging, I do like the design of this one. However, I do think I have said on quite many years that I don't think the value of Charlotte Tilbury's advent calendar, I don't think it's the greatest, and I don't think it's a full-on 24-door calendar, and it's one of the more expensive ones. And also my gripe has also been the fact that you get a lot of midi-sized products. There aren't like that many full-size products that you usually get. Based on the, like, looking at the image, I do think some of the products are full-size, but because the product images are so small, it could be also that a lot of, like, some of them that are looking full-size could end up being midis. So in terms of value, this isn't the best advent calendar, but I do have to say in terms of packaging, I do think this is like better than some of the previous years ones, because I do think this is genuinely like different from what we have from previous years advent calendars. And I'm kind of sucker for this very traditional like gold and red Christmas theme, but yeah, this is definitely not the advent calendar for me. I always say that this is one that I'm glad to skip, but I do think there is a very specific that if there's a person who has not tried a single Charlotte Tilbury product and they would very much like to try one, then this could be a good gift, but then you would have to gift or thing to buy, but then you will have to consider that the value proposition of this one isn't necessarily the best considering the price point. And then from Charlotte to Indie, so Nomad Cosmetics launched their new palette, or actually a collection, so this is the Outback Adventures, and I think this is Australia themed, at least based on the packaging and kind of the embossings on the pants. I actually do think the palette is kind of fun. It's also nice of them to see that they have now cheek palettes, so they have put something else than just eyeshadow in their launch. And then are those liquid lipsticks, or yeah, Outlasting lipsticks, so they have 4 liquid lipsticks. So I think the palette is very fun, but then I'm actually gonna show the reason that I'm not gonna be getting this one. So I have the Clarity Rain palette, and I do think that I have pretty much the color story of the Nomad palette in this one, so it's a skip for me. I do think that if I would not have the Clarity palette, and if I generally would not maybe have as many colorful palettes in my collection as I do, then this could be fun. I do think in a way this is very nice all-arounder palette, that if you're someone looking for something neutral but you also want to try out some colorful shades, this is a very good in-between color story, and I can recommend Nomad's like eyeshadow quality. I've been very huge fan of the quality of the palettes that I've gotten from them, but for me this is purely a skip because I have already something similar on my collection, but it is still a very beautiful palette, and I do like also the rest of the items in the collection. Okay, and then lastly we're going to be discussing the Monolith Shop launch. I'm going to be putting a picture compilation of sort of my top picks from the launch. I do have to emphasize, when I post the top picks from the launches, I obviously usually don't buy, and I can't buy all of them because I have like a limitation with my makeup budget, like every like good sensible person should. And secondly, some launches, while I do think that they have interesting products, they aren't still necessarily products that I like to buy, but they are kind of like my usually overview of things that I think are somehow eye-catching from the launches. But now I'm actually gonna go to the Monolith's website and actually like see, because I haven't done so where the picture is gonna be posted somewhere around in the beginning of next week. So I haven't done the image yet, so you're gonna be seeing it. Well, I haven't actually done it right now, so it doesn't really pretty much make sense, but oh well. But about what is in the launch. So the Ladybug Glow palette, definitely that is something that I'm keeping my eye on. It's gonna be $45.50, so it is a bit on the more inexpensive side, though this is a smaller palette, so it's also quite understandable. The launch date is 16th of August, so it is Sunday. This is usually the time they launch, so it's usually a Sunday date, and I'm gonna be still checking the time. I think it might be again 10:30 AM, which is Central European time, but I am gonna check that one, and I'm gonna put the information on the Monolith Shop on the Monolith Shop launch on the description box, so you can go read it there. What else? We are getting some. Ensler Rain has revamped their Strawberry Moon palette, so I do think that if you don't have the original, this could be a good buy. The On the Cloud 9 palette from Bella Beauty Bar is gonna be on the launch, but I did say on my makeup news video that I don't think this was maybe the best of the best value, like from Bella Beauty Bar considering price point. Just Art eyeshadow palette from DD Signature. This I did say on my review that, not review obviously, like I don't have this, but on my makeup news video I did say from the DD Signature Just Art eyeshadow palette that if you're looking for a very good like basic rainbow palette from indie brand, this could actually be a nice palette to try out. Then we are having some restocking products. Adept Cosmetics Opal Buzz eyeshadow palette is also going to be included. Blend Bunny is going to get restocked, and on this launch, okay, there's gonna be a lot of Blend Bunny. So the Equally Sweet is currently restocking. We are getting the new revamped Dollhouse palette, then the Maycroft collaboration. And from the Maycroft collaboration, I am eyeing the big palette, even though it's an all matte palette. And I did say on my makeup news video, I think I covered this last week, that it is an all matte palette, which I'm usually not gravitating towards, but I do think this is a very unique color story, and this time the teaming of this collaboration is a bit more suitable because it's not mold team, but it's Flora and Fauna as the team. And what else? And I do believe there is also like other, aside from those, there are also some older Blend Bunny stuff restocking, and also the Question Beauty Chapter 4 Garden of Iridescent Wings. This is a New Zealand or Australian based indie brand, I always forget, but this was one of their newer palettes. It's been a while since the palette was already launched on the brand's website, but it's now making it to the actual launch. So yeah, as I said, I'm gonna be making a compilation of my sort of favorite things from this launch, and you're gonna be seeing it once I post this on this site. But there is definitely like things that I'm eyeing on this launch, and I am gonna be buying something, but what that something is, you're gonna be seeing that later on my channel, because I'm still like, I have to do some calculating and like deciding that what is something that I still like think that is actually nice, but I'm actually also gonna be used, because I am much more pickier with my makeup purchases these days than I maybe was a couple of years ago. But I would say that if you have been like waiting, you live in Europe and you have been waiting for some of these more exciting indie launches to come to Monolith Shop, I do believe next week Sunday is a good day to check on their website and maybe make some purchases. Those were all the launches I had to discuss for today. As I said, the most interesting thing, generally the Monolith Shop launch, and from like individual launches, as I said, the Ladybug Glow palette is something that I am now eyeing, and it would be the first time trying this particular indie brand, which is always very exciting to try a new indie brand, at least for me. Comment down below what were your favorite launches from the past week. If you like this video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from future content. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog, on Instagram. I hope I can see you in another video. Bye bye!